Hey there, everybody. This is PotterBrony, and I know I said I put this tack this portion onto the end of the series finale, final episode number 26 reaction, but now I'm just gonna put it into its own video just to give my thoughts overall on the series, what it meant to me, how it helped me, and some of my favorite moments, and some of my some things that happened when I was reacting to this series. Okay, firstly, I've told this story before. I've talked about this before. It's not maybe the most widely known of my to people who watch. I don't know how many people have seen me tell this story or heard it or anything like that. How I got started in this series. Okay. July 2011. Season 2 had started. July or August, somewhere around there. Season 2 was starting. I had heard about Bronies. I was unemployed at the time and in a bad way. I was never diagnosed with depression or anything like that. I'm not going to say I had depression or anything like that. I wasn't contemplating suicide or anything like that. But I was in a dark place. I was unemployed. I was 29, living back with my parents because my savings were being burnt through, and it just wasn't a good time for me. Here I was, almost gonna turn 30 the next year, and no prospects, back with my parents, college dropout, no education. I had a really good job. Unfortunately, the company folded, and I was left nowhere. Nothing. Had nothing. Doing nothing. I even at one point contemplated, and I don't know why the hell I thought this was a good idea. It was essentially an MLM thing. And I was desperate, and I needed to find something, and I thought maybe I could do this, but based on how awkward I am around people, I would never have been able to do the selling thing, and selling vacuum cleaners as it was. What the hell was I thinking? I went there, met with the people, and talked, and actually almost legitimately signed up to do this stuff, but in reality, yeah, I would have had to have buy these vacuum cleaners and try to sell them and keep the profit, and it wasn't. It took me a week of nonsense thinking, and my parents saying, it's like, they were kind of going, I don't know, kid, this isn't that great of an idea. After that, it just really hit me. It's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this funk. What's going to happen to me? How are things going to go for me? And what happened was I started to close myself off more and more from family and friends, and just I didn't want people to see me like that, and it just, I don't know, it felt like the right thing to do, I guess, but it really wasn't. I should have talked to them more. I should have opened myself up, gotten help from them. And that's what I did after watching the first season of this series. Like I said, I was really down. Not clinically depressed or anything, but just in this horrible, horrible funk and dark thoughts, and who knew what would have happened if I kept going down this path. My father has even told me a few years after the fact, after he helped me out of this, that he came home one day from work and had this sudden realization. He sees me just lying on the couch and doing nothing to help myself, nothing to get out of the situation. I was just, it wasn't going to get better. because I wasn't trying to help myself. I wasn't trying to fix anything. I wasn't trying to get out there and actually do something to fix my life. And I'm really thankful to my parents that they put up with that. That's the thing. I'm not prepared for this. So 1 second is just gonna be. It's right over there behind the camera. I'm just gonna grab this real quick. Here it is. Now this was taken by a professional photographer. I'll take a better picture and put the image up when I show it here. Alright, this was my old workshop, the old building that we worked in. Professional photographer came around and took pictures of everything around the thing, made a book, and gave this out to people who he took pictures of. Now, right there, that's me, and that's my dad. He helped me get a job there. This is a place where my dad worked. He's retired now. So congratulations to him. He retired a couple months ago. As of me recording this, he helped me get a job there. This is where he worked, where my grandfather worked, and I don't know, is he considered a third generation? Because it was my mother's father who worked there, who helped him get a job there. And my dad talked me up, and really I knew nothing about building the machinery that was there. It was like, I was always good with learning and learning on the job and learning with my head. That school never worked for me that way. But now and he says that I quickly made myself very indispensable to these people, and now they're sending me around the world to do stuff for customers around there. I've been to China, to England. As of right now, next week I'm going to Utah for a customer visit to work on one of our machines out there. By the time you're seeing this, by the time I post this, I'll have long since been back. But it's just, that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't watched this show. I firmly believe that. Because as I was in this funk and just scrolling through the internet and just wasting time and doing nothing with my life and on this downward spiral, I came across this thing of Bronies. That is weird. People in my age group, people of my demographic, are getting unironically into the show, like really enjoying the show. The show for little kids. The show I remember my little sister watching when we were younger. That show. Well, hell, I got nothing to do. Found the first episode, watched it. Well, this is my thought process. This is how it went. Hell, it's a cliffhanger. It's a two-parter. I have to watch a second episode because I can't stand leaving something unfinished. Like, I really hate when shows get canceled and the storyline's not finished. If I got into it, but not enough people got into it to justify the show continuing on, oh, that pisses me off. But then I watched a second episode, and there was this one line in it that really got me to say, is like, you know what, I'll watch the third one, and the fourth one, is like, and then the next one, and I just kept talking to myself, it was like, yeah, I'll just watch the next one, and watch the next one. It was like, in the second episode, it was when Pinky was singing, and Twilight says, tell me she's not. And I'm like, alright, so it's a little tongue-in-cheek, self-deprecating humor. I like that. They're poking fun at that sort of thing. Granted, the show turned out to have a lot of really good musical numbers, and that was awesome. But the first one was just kind of little kiddie thing, but then they kind of poke fun at themselves for doing it, and I'm like, maybe there's more to this. Like, I'm already starting to see why people are saying, you know, this is not bad. It's like, but I watch a second episode. And I'm like, okay. Watch the third one, and the fourth, and fifth, and sixth, and seventh, and eighth. And then I got to Bridal Gossip. And, you know how I said, is like, I was just in a bad way. It's like, I wasn't really feeling doing anything. As soon as Flutter Guy spoke, I completely lost my shit. I hadn't laughed, it felt like, in months. I wasn't finding anything funny. I wasn't enjoying anything except this thing now. There's this weird little show for little girls that is like, why is this so good? And I laughed so hard at that I started crying and then sobbing and practically broke down. I was home alone at the time. Parents at work, sister at school, younger sisters at school and work respectively, and nobody around. And I don't know, I had to restart the episode and watch it again. It's like, but after that, I knew I'm gonna watch this show until the end. That's all there was to it. Absolutely cannot not watch this show now. And it really helped. It did. That's how much this show means to me. It's like, it helped pull me out of that. And when my dad came to me a few weeks later and said, we've got an opening, do you want me to teach you enough to try to get your foot in the door? How to read these instruments? If I bring the little measuring instruments in here, will you let me teach you how to use this stuff so that you can sort of say you know what you're doing? You'll have that trial period. It'll be a lot of learning on the job, but it's like, you have to take this chance. Like, will you take this chance? I firmly believe that if I hadn't been watching this series, that I would have just blown it off, and then who knows what would have happened. But I didn't. I let him help me. And I am really thankful for that. And now I've been there. I actually started. It is now 5 days after my 8th year anniversary working there. And 2001, and 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Just finished my 8th year. No, just finished my 7th year. Well, yeah, in my 8th year now. Finished my 8th year, starting the 9th year. I suck at math, but even simple numbers, dumbass. But what would have happened? Who knows? Who knows? I wouldn't have joined this fandom. I wouldn't have met all these people that I have. I wouldn't have considered myself as part of this group of people who, for the most part, are just really open and friendly and loving and giving. Yeah, you got a few bad apples, pun intended, but overall, I couldn't be prouder to be part of this fandom. Really proud to be part of this fandom. And, yeah. If none of that would have happened, who knows how it could have gone. Here I am, own my own home, have a great job, like the people I work with for the most part, and really just making myself as indispensable as I can to, learning everything I can, and hopefully, and this company is like I showed that picture, that was the old building of a company that's been around since the Civil War. Granted, we made different things back then, but as a company, we've been around since the U.S. Civil War, and we supplied, this is the history of it, supplied cannons and muskets and stuff to the north. We don't make that stuff anymore, obviously, but that's what it started as. And fact, that building was part of it. It's like, it's so old, like, but now that's done with. They've built us a new place, so they must think like we're doing well enough, still striving and still going. Used to have hundreds and hundreds of workers there when they made their own stuff. Now we have stuff shipped in mostly from China, but that's how it goes. And literally, we've got 16 people on the shop floor now. But 16 of the best people to make what we do now. Can't go into too much detail. Industrial machinery. That's all I'll say on that. But yeah. If it wasn't for this show and all the people, it's like, now as far as when I officially joined the fandom, I'd say it wasn't until season 5. Now, I've been watching since season 2 was airing, but I haven't really been watching fan stuff or looking at fan stuff all that much. Yeah, there were the odd fan things, but then I also saw the other side of it, Cloppers, and what they produced, pony porn, and was just like, you know what, I'm going to distance myself from those people and just enjoy the show. And thankfully, I moved past that and just ignored that aspect of it, and started making this channel, well, my previous channel, but started doing the reaction videos as an attempt to put myself out into the fandom, you know. And I gotta say, entirely worth it, every bit of it. Met so many cool people, so many great people. Chatting like these conventions. BronyCon is over, but still going to conventions. Going to TrotCon next year. Anyway, come to TrotCon. But yeah, like all these people like chat with online and talk to and see the fan stuff and watch these videos, like, and just experience things with all these people from the comfort of my own home. I'm happy that I started to put myself out there into the fandom when season 5 started. So there was the long hiatus between 4 and 5, where I started to get more into fan stuff and seeing more of the fan stuff that was out there. And yeah, granted, yeah, there's a lot of stuff from the early fandom that I missed because I was just kind of staying away from that. Some stuff that would pop up that I was just like, yeah, I'll check this, but for the most part, I was just kind of trying to say, this is me, that's all of you, I'm just going to watch the show. That was a mistake. Shouldn't have done it that way for so long. And yeah, that's my experiences as far as how I came up in this how I joined this fandom and now fully consider myself a brony and don't regret it at all. Only regret I have is not putting myself out there sooner, not joining in, jumping in with both feet, you know. Like sticking your toe in the water is just, you gotta really just go out there and do it and see it and be part of it. And that's what this fandom is to me. That's what this show is to me. That's what it's done for me. And I am so grateful for all of that. But now the show is over, but the fandom is still going to keep going strong, and I hope it does. I know there are going to be some people that drop off and say, well, enough of that, but that's not going to be me. I'm still going to be here. I'm going to be a part of this fandom as much as I can be. I'm not the creative type. This is what I can do. But, yeah, as long as you'll have me, as long as we're around, I'll be a part of it. Gen 5 comes around, I'll check that out too. Other fan stuff, bring it on. Let's see this stuff. Aside from the porn. But that's beside the point. So yeah. As far as my experiences in being a reactor, there were several key points that I went through, that I saw, and moments that I'd like to tack on probably at the end of this video. I'm not going to be playing it here as I talk or anything. I'm just going to tack on. Well, I'm going to look through, edit in big moments for me in the as a reactor. Stuff that I liked about my reaction, stuff I disliked about it, and things like that. It was like, firstly, let's talk about the CMC getting their cutie marks. Crusaders of the Lost One. That was, holy crap, the 5th anniversary of the series, and 5th anniversary episode, and that one hit me so hard. Now, I'll say that's the first time I ever cried while watching the show. Not counting how I laughed myself to tears and then just sobbing, had almost a breakdown watching Flutter Guy, and just it triggered a response in me. Got over that and continued on watching. But the first time that the show actually brought me to that level of emotion, without all the built up stuff that was happening in my head prior to that, was the CMC getting their cutie marks and everything that had happened there. As soon as I realized it was happening, like, instant sobbing and crying and just, yeah, that was like a really big moment for me. It's like, just wow, they did it. Because here I was watching these characters grow up for years, and it just hit me, and it felt like seeing my little sister, like, it really did. Seeing her graduate and move on to being a teacher, and I mean, not as proud of the ponies as I am of my sister for what she did. That's far more personal. But so it's not the same level, obviously. But you know what I mean. Let's see. Now I'm just gonna jump around a little bit. Now I'm mainly talking about stuff that happened as when I was reacting to the series. Starlight gets called by the map. Yeah, that was that was an iffy one. That was something. I was having a bad day. I explained that at the beginning of the video, and I completely lost my cool. And I'm not that kind of guy, really. But I just snapped at it. It's like, it wasn't cool. Like, I had it in my head. It was legit just a headcanon. But I took it as fact, and it just, like, cracked. Rage. Like, I've never raged at the show before. It's not supposed to do that to me. And at the time, yeah, I was kind of, like, I think I said this in one of the reactions, I was kind of half in, half out of the whole, why is Starlight even here thing, you know? That was earlier when she was first becoming a major part of the show, remember? And to have her be called by the map pissed me off. When I convinced myself, and I see that I'm wrong now because the map is connected to everything. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. Everyone fuels the power of friendship, fuels the magic of friendship. And it's just, I was convinced myself that since they use the elements, and since the map was born of the castle, that was born of their experiences, that was born of the elements, never once considering the fact that their experiences were helping others, and that others could possibly be connected to it. Never crossed my mind that the fact that the first thing that they called it was to help Starlight, or to help her village. They eventually ended up helping her in the end. That took a season. But, it just never crossed my mind that that would be not a bad thing. Maybe it was because, yeah, it was definitely because I was having the bad day, was pissed off from work, I remember this. Was just angry and had a bad day at work, and then that happens all of a sudden, just boom, there, of a character that I only half liked having around, and was still kind of iffy about her becoming a major part of the series back then in season 6. I've long since moved past that. Really love the character. But back then it was just kind of, why is she here? And why is she being called by the map? And how dare you do this to me? Yeah. So I'm not proud of that. But that's what that was. That, and it was just, had that stupid idea in my head that she's going to be taken over and it's going to be less and less of Twilight and more of her. And I don't like her. I don't like that. Yeah. That was the whole point of season 2, wasn't it? Because remember in season 1, they had to shoehorn Twilight into every episode because she was the one who had to write the letter. So they had to get her in there. And as much of a fan as I am of Twilight, best pony, best princess, it got to be a little much, right? And it was because of Twilight that I even continued on watching the thing. And her, like I had said, her response to tell me she's not, to Pinky singing, and that I identified with that character more than anybody, more than any of the others. If she wasn't the way she was, then I wouldn't have been watching the show. But, so it was that unfounded fear that we were going to be seeing less and less of her and more of Starlight. And I didn't like Starlight at the time. Was just kind of half in, like, that, I know I'm rambling, like, this is a long, because I've been talking for almost half an hour now, and I'm not even done. It was just this, yeah, it was an unhappy experience, like, just triggered response in me that, and I hate to use the word, but I was triggered. But I was, and like I was saying, what was I saying? Yeah, like I was saying, in season 1, they had to shoehorn Twilight into everything. In season 2, they changed the rules up a bit. When they used to write the letters and then eventually the journal, then they stopped that in season 5 and onward. But, yeah, when season 2 came around, I thought, it's not a bad idea. You don't have to force Twilight into every episode just to try to find some way to get her in there. Like, she had no business being in some of these episodes. Like, there was no point to the character of her being in those episodes other than the fact that, and you know which ones I mean, Showstoppers, why was she there? Stairmaster, why was she there? Completely pointless. The only, and a lot of things, the only reason you wrote her in just so that she could write the letter. No reason at all. So when they started to have the others, and they're like, okay, not bad. Others can write the letter to the other 6, including Spike, and sometimes the CMC, can write the letter to the princess of what they learned about friendship that day. That was a good way for the show to go for the next couple of seasons. And then, of course, Alicorn Twilight, and move on to just keeping a journal. And then they forgot about that. But whatever. It was a good storytelling device, is what I'm saying, when they changed it. So to get back to my original point beyond all this rambling, so despite the fact that I thought that was a good idea of leaving her out of some episodes, I still somehow got pissed that that Starlight was taking more of her spotlight. Completely unnecessary to worry about that. Because in later seasons, Twilight's had some of her best moments. And they never wrote the character out. But that's one of the things I got pissed about. The rest of the episode was fantastic, and I do like the entirety of the episode now. But I was thinking maybe if they started with Spike or with the CMC or somebody getting called by the map, maybe I wouldn't have gotten so pissed. But it was a lot of combinations of things that just caused me to explode. So that's one of my least favorite moments as a reactor of myself. And my response to that was just not cool. Another thing I got called out on, and I know this is going to sound self-serving and kind of backpedaling, and I'm making excuses, but I swear this is the truth, alright? I swear on Applejack, I'm telling the truth. The Christmas Carol episode. Telling the story, other characters are acting it out to Starlight, and Starlight's the Ebenezer Scrooge type character, and they had the pony that looks suspiciously like Snape. Now, one thing that I got called out on was, you didn't mention how much he looks like Snape. Did you not notice that? You call yourself PotterBrony. What is wrong with you? Yeah. Here's the truth of it. I did notice. I saw it. I don't think I didn't see it. But in my head, what I'm thinking is, don't say it, because then they're just going to say, look at you, and that's the real problem that I self-edit myself inside my head. I don't talk a lot. I don't give my thoughts as I should have been, because what I thought would have happened was, I said it, and people say, look at the Potterhead seeing Harry Potter and everything. Well, the complete opposite happened, because I kept it to myself. Like, how did you not notice that? Every other reactor I saw respond to that. That looks like Snape, except me. One of my biggest regrets is just not saying it. Let's see. Okay. Another small thing. Only time it's ever happened to me. In this instance. And I found it hilarious to myself. People seem to like the reaction that I gave for that one. Maud Pie graduating. Getting her doctorate. And, I made a crack about Rockter Pie. And then Pinky, 10 seconds later goes, Dr. Pie, Rockter Pie? I'm like, It's the only time I ever predicted a line like that. Now, I've seen people predict, like, say the exact line that a pony was going to be saying, but I made the same joke that Pinky did. And it was just like, only time I predicted, because up until season 5, I wasn't actually talking or saying anything as I was watching the episodes. But then when I have to express myself more, it's like, I made a stupid little joke and she said the exact same thing 10 seconds later. I found that to be hilarious to my son. It was like one of the funniest things I've ever done. And yeah. Now, another thing is like was the whole, I'm not sure if I'm going to include this in the brief things as to what I did, as to what happened. The Apple parents. There's not one moment there that I can include because that entire episode was just so. I'm gonna just probably leave a link. Watch that reaction. That entire episode was just mind blowing, and yeah. So I'll be honest with you. It was good to talk about this, good to get this all out, and talk about my favorite moments as a reactor. because there's just so much to talk about with the show itself. But I've talked, like, hopefully you listened, hopefully you learned something, and hopefully this show had some kind of an effect on you. It sure did for me. So, you know, share your story. Take this opportunity. Put it in the comments. I'd love to read other people's stories about it. I'd love to see how the show affected other people. Because that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's like making these connections, making these friendships, like seeing that's what it's all about, isn't it? That's life. That's how you experience things with others. That's the whole point of it all, isn't it? Anyway, thank you all for listening. I'm gonna end this one here, and then get to after I sign out. Put a couple of clips up at the end there. But yeah, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed my My Little Pony Friends with Magic reactions, and thank you for being a brony. Take care. Bye.
So, in closing, earning a doctorate in rock studies from the Equestrian Institute of Rockology.
Oh, she's getting her doctorate?
No easy feat. I'm proud of each.
All right, well, Dr. Pie it is, or sorry, Rockter Pie.
No, just you.
I am
actually.
sorry about that as well. And I got the other pies.
Fillies and
Limestone is like.
What is that magnesium-rich basalt?
Hi, Tom. No,
It
Tom.
is
Fuck.
my honor
Boulder.
to present
I'm sorry.
the Valoroctorian Maud Pie.
God, I'm stupid.
Excuse me.
Is it racist that I think they look alike?
Pie.
Rockter Pie?
Oh my God. Starting the video in 3, 2, 1, and go. Wait, what the fuck?
I can't believe it either. The map has never called me before.
I'm sure that's not why
she looks like that. Oh, actually it is. Well, it's that and the fact that you're being called to the royal palace. I mean, what in Equestria could be going on?
Okay,
there? Can I come with you? No, I shouldn't. The map just called you for a reason.
No,
right?
fuck
Or
this.
maybe it's a mistake.
No.
Not because of you.
This is
because it's
bullshit.
never called you.
This is
One of us
bullshit.
before.
Want to just focus on helping others find their cutie marks? Yeah!
What the? Did it just really fucking happen?
What happened? What's going on?
It's your cutie marks. They're amazing.
What?
We were searching for
Jesus Christ!
for a while there, trying to find out how we fit in. So many ways we tried before, but we kept on trying more. 'Cause the cutie mark crusaders don't give in. Now we know
Shit.
all along, and our journey here is never really done. For it is more than just a mark, it's a place for us to start an adventure that has only just begun. We'll make our mark, show the world what we can do. We'll make our mark, helping Phillies to break through to the ultimate reward of a cutie mark. All right, every pony, get ready for the biggest quinceanera celebration ever!
Oh, Sugar Cube, if Mom and Dad were here, they'd be so proud of you.
Oh, thanks, Applejack.
Now go on and
They actually referenced them.
I'm so proud of you, little buddy. You taught me a thing or two. You've inspired every pony around you, and you've inspired Crusaders?